Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me here for the Taz Effect Daily News in a way you did not know you could use. And for some of y'all, it's the second time y'all seeing me today or hearing me on these GZPR radio waves. And just so you all know, I did check in with our good brother Thomas, and he is laying down, he is resting. I sent him as many of your well wishes as I could this morning. Okay. So yes, hopefully he will be back. For those of you all coffee bean that enjoy a little sound of coffee in the morning for a flag on the play Friday. So you will have that. Okay. I know some of y'all thought it was a little too serious this morning. Okay. I tried to tell a little joke, but you know. Now, let's hit the ground running. Okay, let's hit the ground running. You know how Trump wanted to push through his big, beautiful disaster, that bodacious bill of blunder. All right, and we were like, you know what? What about subsidies for healthcare? Because we don't want to go to the afterlife quite yet today, right now, depending on what else is happening. The Senate doesn't seem to have a viable solution. Senate rejects extension of healthcare subsidies as costs are set to rise for millions of Americans. I hear the ballot calling round the bend. It's time to get to voting and replace those within. The Senate on Thursday rejected legislation to extend Affordable Care Act tax credits, essentially guaranteeing that millions of Americans will see a steep rise in cost at the beginning of the year. Senators rejected a Democratic bill to extend the subsidies for 3 years and a Republican alternative that would have created new health savings accounts, an unceremonious end to the months-long effort by Democrats to prevent the COVID-19 era subsidies from expiring on January 1st. Now, many of you are like, but you're telling me the Republicans, they had a solution? No, they didn't. Do you know that the average cost they're estimated to go up about $20,000. These accounts that they wanted to set up would only fund you $1,000. $1,000. Please tell me what you were going to do with $1,000. Oh, Gator. Kulkavat. So yeah, there's no solution that they have. They are trying to sidestep anything that would be viable for the U.S. public because they need to be viewed as the saviors. And these saviors only have talking points to offer you. I thought we did away with the Tea Party movement faction of the GOP in a few, because it was the Tea Party that was so against the Affordable Health Care Act, amongst other things. But yeah. Ahead of the votes, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York warned Republicans that if they did not vote to extend the tax credits, and I quote, there won't be another chance to act. Before premiums rise for many people who buy insurance off the ACA marketplaces. Let me explain something. It's not just those that get their insurance off of the ACA/Obamacare marketplace. Say it with me, class. The business model for insurance companies is socialism. So those costs that need to be offset, we're all going to pay them. It does not matter where you get your and because there's no true regulations, the lacking of morality, insurance conglomerates are going to raise prices. These are the same people who take in your money and then tell you you can't use that money to save your life. But with that being said, y'all let it happen. And I mean it. Y'all choose to be Karens and Richards for all the wrong reasons. You will lose your ever-loving mind for a free plate of French fries, an extra helping of mac and cheese or mashed potatoes, or 10% off a figurine that's $5.99 regular price. But you want Karen and Richard when it comes to actual benefits you need for the sake of survival. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Hey, Jacob. Like, truly make it make sense. You're willing to get somebody's job taken away because you didn't properly purchase airline tickets so that your whole family can stay together, but you're okay with needing certain equipment or certain procedures, and the money you pay to a company, you're like, oh, well, that's the rules. I won't say anything. Are you cool, bitch? Oh, thank you, Callie. Thank you. It's a blue day by default because these are the glasses I dug out this morning, and I wasn't gonna go look for another pair. But thank you. Now, now we know that Whiskey Leaks Keg Breast, the current SecDef, yesterday decided he was going to try to lean on AI to help him with his defense of him claiming not to be a war criminal. And AI was like, get somebody else to do it. You're a war criminal, my boy. You got all the dip on your chip. The chip done crumbled, and you're a war criminal. Okay? And this is just adding to the ever-growing list of legal professionals that are saying that, you know what? Yeah, it's a war crime. Now, I have paid attention. I was singing Christmas blues last night. Look at you, Jay. Look at you. I've heard people, and I've seen your comments, I've seen your DMs, I've seen your emails going, you put on a video or you interviewed somebody, they're a civilian attorney. That's not the same as blah, 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 blah. Okay. Pay close attention. Listen and listen closely.
Under the law, it wasn't a war crime. It was murder. Let me explain why. I'm Cody Harnish, UCMJ attorney. I'm a former JAG. Now I only practice military law. So this is what we learned about the survivors. Last week in a closed-door congressional briefing, we now have a more clear picture of what happened between the 40-minute gap from the first strike to the second strike. And lawmakers who saw the classified footage say that the survivors were sitting or standing on campsite wreckage, shirtless and unarmed, no radios, no weapons, unable to maneuver and clinging to debris. They were defenseless. And then they were killed in a follow-up double tap strike. And the admiral reportedly told Congress that these people weren't even going to the United States at all. They're going to another country, a route towards Europe, meaning these men pose no imminent threat to U.S. forces or U.S. territory. If this were a war, it would be a war crime. Let's assume purely for argument's sake that the U.S. is in a non-international armed conflict. If that were true, the law of armed conflict applies, including Common Article 3 of the Geneva Conventions. Wounded, shipwrecked, or otherwise out of the fight shall not be made the object of attack. And the DoD Law of War Manual itself says the same thing. Shipwrecked individuals may not be attacked, or anyone who is wounded or shipwrecked and unable to defend themselves is orders to combat, out of the fight, and protected. Given what we know about the survivors, even in a hypothetical war, this second strike would be a war crime, the intentional killing of protected persons. But here's the truth. We're not in a war. Under international law, you only have a non-international armed conflict when there is sustained armed violence and an organized armed group capable of military operations. Drug cartels don't meet that standard. Drug trafficking is not an armed attack, and cartels are not fighting against the United States. Since this is not a war, the law of armed conflict does not apply. The correct legal framework here is international human rights law and criminal law, UCMJ, Article 118, murder. The unlawful, intentional killing of another human being. These survivors posed no imminent threat. They were defenseless. They were shipwrecked. And under the law that actually applies, the first strike was unlawful. The second strike was unlawful. Both are murder. Share this so others understand the law behind the headlines. In the meantime, I'm going to be right here defending America's defenders.
So, as you heard it, from former JAG to now he practices exclusively military law. It's a war crime. It was a war crime. Once again, the United States is reveling as the villain. Now, before many of you go, oh my God, I can't believe this. We went from being the heroes to the villains. Who told you that we were ever the heroes? That's that pesky indoctrination. That's that pesky propaganda that the U.S. is so good at. Because we were very reluctant to do anything. Hey, Corey. Happy Thursday. We are very reluctant to do anything when it comes to standing on the right side of history. We are always late to the party. We show up after most of the good work is over and done. That is what we do. That is what we are good at. The playbook that the world has used up until this point has been ours. This is why I have said, since Trump has gotten into politics, and especially this term of Trump's, to stop saying that we're borrowing such and such as playbook. It's been our playbook. We are the library of tyranny and savagery. We loan it out to people and allow them to add chapters, and we come back and we add some notes to it as well. We are consistently the maniacal maniacs that stand on the wrong side of history, but try to teach that we don't. Now, fortunately, we do keep a handful of decent individuals in our midst, okay? And I talked about it a little bit this morning on the Sound of Coffee, but we're going to get into it a little bit more here. Judge orders Kilmar Borrego Garcia's release from ICE custody. The judge's order represents an immediate affront to senior Trump administration officials who once vowed Borrego would never walk America's streets again. Well, that was a pretty tall order because America is a collection of continents. And yes, I know before you go, you know what we mean. We need to stop acting as if we own the globe. We need to stop acting as if we are better than, or that there is a hierarchy of personhood and that we are atop it. We need to start calling things what it actually is. We are within the United States. We are not America. We are a part of it. Because if we're going to sit here and go, we're American, and we're American, why do we have a problem with Canadians? They're American. Why do we have a problem with Mexicans? They're American. Huh? What? A federal judge has ordered the immediate release of Kilmar Borrego Garcia from the Trump administration's custody, concluding that the Salvadorian man has been illegally held by Immigration and Customs Enforcement for months without the legal authority to deport him. U.S. District Judge Paula Zenas said ICE had repeatedly failed to produce a so-called final order of removal, the legal document obtained from an immigration court required for deportation, forcing her to conclude that none exist. Without it, the Obama-appointed judge said Abrego cannot be legally detained. Hello, once again, legacy media, stop pointing out who appointed these judges because you are part of the problem of the miseducation of people within these borders. A judge is to be nonpartisan. It does not matter who appoints them because you're giving the impression that presidents only appoint people who politically align with them, and that is not the truth. Y'all do realize that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was appointed by someone who did not share the same political ideologies as her. The very first woman to be appointed to a judgeship at the Supreme Court level was appointed by someone who did not align politically with them. I need y'all to stop. We have checks and balances for a reason, and making everything partisan is, oh my goodness, it is making us a lesser society. We have more technology, more resources than ever before, and we are dumber than we have ever been. At this point, we're on a slippery slope of being less educated than Neanderthals. You have turned politics into a freaking World Series of human survival. We joke about being tribute, but we are turning ourselves into the Hunger Games. But what do I expect from a people who keeps equating what we're going through to the movie Idiocracy? Did you all watch the movie Idiocracy, and did you comprehend the movie Idiocracy? Now, let's not make this an opportunity for you to try to sell me some BS on your trauma as to why a shitty movie isn't shitty. Yes, I know that was petty. I don't give a damn. Idiocracy started off bad, horrible. Society within the movie Idiocracy realized, hey, this person makes some good points. We do need to make some changes in order to survive. So changes were beginning to be made for a better society. Please show me where our changes are. Please show me where people are listening, because right now we are having Kamala Harris 2.0 with Jasmine Crockett, and people are utilizing the real, the real life bodies of Palestinians to once again make the world worse. Because what happens in the United States and legislation that takes place in the United States does not just affect those of us that are restricted to the confines of these borders. Where is the movie streaming? Let's see. Oops. Like I need y'all to get it together. It's on Netflix, Nanja. Idiocracy is currently on Netflix, Apple TV, Google Play, and Amazon Prime. No problem. Like, no, we're not in the movie Idiocracy. We're not. And you want further proof of that? Coming from Newsweek, Donald Trump wants Americans to use fewer pencils. Let me repeat that, because I don't think y'all hear me. Donald Trump wants Americans to use fewer pencils. 8 takeaways from rally. President Donald Trump has said it is possible to give up certain products like pencils because of the benefits of steel. White people, white people, I'm gonna need y'all to come get your people. White folks, I'm going to need you to come get your people because today alone, y'all taking me through there. I don't like this. Now, as somebody who does like to use pencils, now I like to use what they call forever pencils. Not so much a mechanical pencil type of girly, um, but it's lead. It's not. Y'all keep thinking he's smart. He's not. They don't want us to read or write. Why not just poke our eyes out and cut off our finger? Child, listen. This is one of the ideas the president proposed as he gave a wide-ranging speech at at the Mount Pocono Casino in northeastern Pennsylvania on Tuesday. Over the course of 100 minutes, Trump spoke about the economy and the cost of living, wind farms, migration, and more. Quick question. Quick question. Whose idea was to have this at a casino? Newsweek has compiled the key takeaways from the rally and has reached out to the White House to comment on the story outside of normal business hours. Yeah, I would think probably Trump's too. I don't know. If I owned a casino, I wouldn't let Trump anywhere near it. Okay, Trump is not good luck when it comes to a casino. Okay, that's no. That's like inviting a lot lizard to your OBGYN appointment. They're not known for good cooter biscuit health. Amid concerns about the GOP's performance in a series of elections in November and a series of polls indicating his unpopularity with the American public, Trump will travel the country to campaign ahead of the November 2026 midterms, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles said. Why? Why? First of all, if you're a member of the GOP, I don't care what faction you ascribe to, okay? Why would you want Trump campaigning for you? Because an endorsement from Trump is a kiss of death. Seats are being flipped left and right because everybody is tired of Trump. And you cannot flip these seats this quickly without bipartisan voting. Okay? It's not going to happen. Okay? Number one. Number two, Trump doesn't have any more races to run. We need Trump to finally try to run the country. Okay? I need him to do his job. And as somebody that is a card carrying holder of a no call, no show leg, I don't need a no call, no show president. Okay. You already done used up way too many PTO days, Trump. You ain't let enough accrue back. I'm going to need you to show up to work. You're going to have to work some doubles. Okay. Trump, you need a bedtime. Okay. No more of these late night shenanigans all over the Truth Social where truth goes to die. I need you to do what we pay you to do. I know you lie to your idiotic sycophants claiming that you don't take a paycheck for it. Yes, you do. We see what your wife looks like. Okay? And that woman ain't stopped a routine of nothing. Okay, I got a dog in the next room that spent more hours working my last nerve than you done worked this POTUS. We don't need him on the campaign trail anymore. Especially since he thinks that we can use less pencils because of steel. This is so embarrassing. Now, I think I've told you all this before. For years, I would joke around with former classmates and with family members of mine. If they, and it was a back and forth thing. If one of us says something the other deemed a little idiotic, we would be like, "Oh, for 3 days, 4 months, or whatever. Don't tell nobody we went to school together. Don't tell nobody that we're related." A nice little chuckle. I don't want to tell people that I live in the United States. And what's truly, truly bothersome are the people who know that they do nothing but talk crap, rightfully so, about Trump behind closed doors, but then get up and proclaim him to be the greatest thing since pockets and sliced bread. Absolutely not. Yeah, my fur baby is far more qualified. So I was a little mad at her earlier this week because she ate my glove, but yeah. And Congress, if anybody from Congress is listening, please figure out this healthcare stuff, because right now my particular insurance is kind of in limbo. I don't know what's going to cost anything, and your girl has a cracked tooth, like it is holding on by a thread. Okay, and what it's going to take to get it fixed right now, it's not in the budget. Okay, it is. Okay, I need prices to even out a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I have some international friends and family that, yeah. See why I say I'm from New Orleans and not Louisiana? I know. I trust. Trust, I know. Hey, Pitch. Now, imposing tariffs on trading partners has been one of Trump's key economic policies since taking office, but they have proved contentious. Some warn they cause inflation, and they are the subject of a Supreme Court ruling. Lower courts have repeatedly ruled against the administration's authority in imposing broad and sweeping tariffs on an emergency basis. Um, yeah. Here's the thing. 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 Uh, Trump's tariffs is causing whole new variants of criminality. Hold on, walk with me here. I'm going to explain it to y'all, okay? Did y'all know that there are now crime rings stealing used cooking oil from restaurants to resell? And no, they're not reselling to further cook with this oil. No, they're using the oil to make other products because companies are trying to bypass Fatsalini's tariffs. They would rather pay to bail people out and pay their fines than pay these tariffs. It's fiscally more responsible to become a grease criminal, a grease plug, have a grease conglomerate underground network than anything else. Yes, like biodiesel. You're correct, bitch. Biodiesel for one night bird, amongst other products that they're making from it. But I need y'all to think about this. Yeah. Trump makes history. Not any history that we can be proud of. Not any history we want to write to anybody about. But he makes history. Him him make us the history. Now, Trump has confirmed Europeans' worst fear. Are their leaders ready to stand up to him now? First of all, let's put a little respect on the leaders of the EU's names, okay? Because let us not forget that when Trump earlier this year was doing all that long distance posturing when it came to Zelensky, when he was lying about having the ear of Putin and trying to act like he controlled Putin, and then Zelensky was like, "Bet you met with Putin, you didn't want to answer my calls about meeting." He was like, "I will be pulling up on you on Monday." And the EU Avengers assembled and was right there. Okay, they was right there with Zelensky, like it was the ultimate Marvel DC crossover. Okay, they pulled up with Zelensky like Zelensky was the OG Nightwing. All right, all right. So they have no problem. They have no problem standing up to Trump. Like, let us stop painting this picture that Trump is some feared and revered leader. He's not. This is a part of the problem. This is why we have people believing that their vote isn't going to count, that their voices don't matter, because you've already made them feel as if we have just collectively surrendered because there's no beating Trump. Trump beats Trump every day. Trump is not smart enough to outwit laced shoes. Okay. Somebody's threatened that to almost every country. You're absolutely right, Namjan. Almost half of EU citizens regard Donald Trump as an enemy of Europe. I think it's higher. I don't know. I don't know if how international your social media algorithms are, or if you have any social media. If some people don't do social media. I have two children of mine that don't do social media at all. I have relatives that don't. Um, or how, internet, but it's kind of hard pressed to find some people, like, outside of a handful of people that are trying to grift internationally off the Trump name. I'm just saying. The poll conducted for the French debate forum Le Grand Continent found that across Europe, Trumpism is considered a hostile force. I mean, they would know. They would. I mean, historically, given the things that they've come up with over the years, they would know. We've lost so many allied countries between the first administration and this one. It isn't funny. You're absolutely correct. And it's sad because, like I keep alluding to, the United States really never wanted to be an allied force. The United States aligned with the Axis. But the United States knows how to market itself and knows how it wants history to look upon it. I mean, it learned it from its mama, the UK. But the new U.S. foreign policy doctrine published by the White House on Friday will have heightened these respondents' worst fears. The 30-page national security strategy landed like a bombshell in Europe, and citizens may have been out in front of their political leaders in figuring out what Trump's worldview could mean for Europeans. The strategy outlines a radical shift away from the ethos underpinning the Atlantic Alliance, the doctrine that has bound the U.S. to Europe since the Second World War. The U.S. now frames the EU, the continent's core political community, as a legitimate target for ideological warfare. Its most astonishing pivot is a threat to meddle directly to cultivate resistance in Europe and restore the supposedly lost national sovereignties of the EU's ailing individual nations. This is not just the familiar threat to withdraw troops or demand that Europe shells out more money for its own defense. It suggests that the Trump administration wants to help patriotic far-right parties to power while legitimizing racist conspiracy theories. It makes the extraordinary claim that Europe faces the risk of civilizational erasure. So civility is going to be erased if we become more diverse. Once again, I need you all to remember that the United States created an entire operation and an indoctrination campaign and a campaign of propaganda in order to welcome Nazis with open arms. I need you all to remember that Nazis walked among us. They weren't shunned. They weren't canceled. They weren't moved to the underrungs of society. They suffered little to no consequences. Same as the plantation owners, zero consequences. The United States is a land where they tell us to forget about certain parts of history while never forgetting the other things that happened during the same time span. Because they'll tell you that slavery was so long ago and nobody was really affected by slavery and nobody's affected by it by this time. But how many Civil War reenactments do we need per year? If nobody was affected by it and nobody benefits from it, why do we still have legacy organizations that are determined by your genetics, your DNA, your blood? Why do they get tax breaks? Why do they get special benefits if nobody's benefiting from chattel slavery? Why is it okay to have a party or turn a plantation into an Airbnb? Because if nobody today is benefiting from chattel slavery, that means that all plantations have been turned over into public lands and they are used for the edification of the country so that we do not go back and repeat that tremendous, tyrannical, dehumanizing faux pas. Right? Right? You know what? Let's stick a pin in something real quick because I want to discuss something. Because there are some people who you may believe that you are deconstructing, you may believe that you're standing on the right side of history, but I know that there are things that go under your radar. And what I want to discuss with you for the last little bit of time that we have is your utter disrespect and misuse of Black women. Number one, you will never replace a Black woman. Two, you will never garner the respect of a Black woman. You have to pave your own way. We are not here to pave a way for you to come in and thinking that you're going to replace us. It doesn't work that way. Everybody will not be respected the same. Everybody will not be loved the same because everybody does not carry the same toolbox, and abilities on how to use said tools. Because the same thing that you all did to Kamala Devi Harris, you're trying to do to Jasmine Crockett, you try to do to every Black woman that you come across. I said it before, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to continue to say it until you all receive it fully into your spirit. Okay? Okay. Go with me. You have no problem with us being strong, loud, boisterous, and on the front lines when we're advocating for you, or even when you think we're advocating for you, or you push yourself into the spaces that we are advocating for. Okay? Okay. You have no problem when we are willing to step to the forefront and be that shield, that barrier between you and harm's way, between you and your own bad decisions, between you and you voting against your best interest and the best interest of the rest of us. You don't have a problem with that, but you do have a problem with us being respected and us being in a position of leadership because you want to steal what you think makes us us, and you want to cosplay what you think gets us the respect, gets us the protection in order for you to be a leader when, sweetheart, you could not lead yourself 2 steps down the block. Everybody has a wheelhouse. This is why too many of you get offended when somebody says that their preference is a Black woman, when somebody says that they learned something from a Black woman, when you see a Black woman being complimented. If somebody requests a Black woman, you are quick to go, what about me? Where's my spot? Where it belongs, in the back of the bus. Hmm? Not once in my life have I been a white woman. Not once in my life have I been a man. I don't talk about blacks. I don't talk about crayons or laundry. Therefore, I don't speak on behalf of white women, non binary folks, or men. I let them speak for themselves. But far too many white women who create a competition in their head because they want to replace. They can't get to certain heights, so they want to replace, and they think that those accolades and the intellect is just going to, by osmosis, get into them. It's not going to. It never will. And the sad part about it is, every time you all think that you have a gotcha moment there, or you're putting one of us in our place, you don't realize how bad you are looking. Mm-hmm. And I'm taking the time to address this now and today. To those in the past 12 to 18 hours, thank you. I hear you. I see you. I'm glad that you hear me and that you see me. I am okay, and I am going to be okay. Okay? Someone else's level of intimidation will never be a me problem. It will forever be a them problem. I am not going anywhere until I decide to go somewhere. I am not being replaced because who else could sell the records like Taz sell the records? Call it conceited if you want to, but I come through with the come through and I deliver every step of the way. I can sell the records like Taz. But yes, I know that you all noticed the utter disrespect. I know that you all noticed certain things. But I want you to keep in mind. Nana said hush. Um, I believe in integrity through and through. I do not care if it is myself that needs correcting or someone else. I will never let misinformation, disinformation, aka a flat out lie, stand. I will not let somebody come in and speak for a community of people that they don't even have conversations with, ever. And if that makes me the bad guy, okay, I need you to remember that I'm also the villain at arms. I am a card carrying member of the Villains Guild. I've never said that I was a hero. I'm what you need. Maybe not what you desire. Maybe not what you want at the moment, but what you need, especially when it comes to survival. And oftentimes people ask, well, what do you bring to the table? And first of all, darling, you must be new here. I'm a black woman. I bring the table, the cloth, the chairs, the entire meal, plus the appetizers and the house that it sits in. I do it impeccably, I do it in heels, and I do it forward and backward while upholding the other components of my community and the communities around me. I do what I do so that people have a fighting chance to make decisions that are beneficial to them and everyone else. You're absolutely right, Nana J. Phenomenal woman. I am. As we wind down, there is a space and a place for everyone in this grand machinery that is called life. All of our cogs fit just where they need to fit. There are times that we're the main character. There are times that we are a part of an ensemble cast, and there are times that we are in the background, and there are times that we are a part of the team that is behind the scenes. It does not make anyone less or more valuable. It's how life needs to work so that it is beneficiary for everyone. The universe made me a whole lot of personality and a whole lot of woman because in stature, I'm not that big, but I am a force to be reckoned with because that is my advocacy and, as some would say, my ministry. As a historian and as an educator, I'm going to be a lot, but a little never got us any change. And with that, I want to thank you all for once again joining me here for the Taz Effect. For those that join me on Thursday nights for Think About It Thursday on the YouTubes at TazJ77, we will be there to talk about a multitude of topics from all around the globe and the interwebs. Otherwise, there will be a Superplex party tonight at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central. It will be, I believe, Gambit and Angry. Thomas is still out, and then followed at 11 p.m. Eastern by Conversations with T. Nathan. But just remember, dim no light for no one, because a dimmed or blown out light can lead no one. And trying to steal another's light does nothing but make it impossible for people to ever see you. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Till tomorrow, lovelies.